Today we're in a 2019 Toyota Prado. It's the Kakadu model, so we're going to put our widescreen head unit in. So this is current head unit on here. Not too much going on. 2019 didn't have CarPlay or Android Auto going on. You do have a JBL factory sound system, so you have like a factory amp and a pretty good speaker setup on these. You also have your 360 cameras and obviously reverse camera there, like so. And steering wheel controls, fairly straightforward. You have that on this model. Like a USB and auxiliary port in here, and that's about it for your factory model here. You do have your view button down here that if I push it, you can see it brings up your cameras here. Two side cameras, back to the start, so 360 and front, two side cameras and back. Now you've got this auto on off switch, which puts the cameras into auto on and off, trajectory lines. So that's on there. You've also got your parking sensors for the rear switch there, so just remember to have those. So that's basically it. So we're going to put the widescreen model in today, and we'll show you how you install that. So first step is obviously to take out old unit. This AC part here pulls out. So if you get your finger, or we do include our trim tools in here. You can do it with your hands though, and unplug your AC panel. That comes off like that. Prados are great. These are pretty easy to do the installs on. Sun cover up here. Okay, now you've got these screws underneath here that have to come out. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 10 mils, which we'll take out now. Alright, so you've got those 4 10 mils out. Now, what you're going to do is just grab your hands, top and bottom, give it a few tugs and wiggles. It's going to come off eventually, just keep doing these and it comes off. Remove this for now. Again, just tug on both sides. Slowly work it, it's going to come out. That's just what you have to do. Now I'll show you what we have in the back here. Basically all these plugs need to come out. Now each one of these plugs has a little tab on the back. You push that tab down and pull the plug out. That's how that works. So there we go, taking all the plugs out. Now to get them out, like I said, the tab on the top, push them down, push down and pull out. If it's a bit hard, I'll push it all the way back in and do it again, because sometimes you half push it down and you pull it out to get stuck. Push it back in, push it all the way down and pull it out. Here's all your plugs. Just remember this one is for the AC. You can tuck it to the side so you don't get confused. Now these are the rest of the plugs. So some of them won't be used, like you got a DAB and a GPS one. So this will be these two, one of those will be DAB, one of them will be GPS. They're not used, and the rest of them we will be using. So we'll go and hook it up and do a little test run. Just going to cover what you get in the kit. It can all look a bit confusing at the start because there's a bit of stuff, but we'll go through it all. So obviously head unit, this is our widescreen model. See, large screen there at the front. The Facia, this is the back of the unit. So we have our main 20 pin plug, our auxiliary plugs, a GPS, 4G antenna, and our FM, our AM plug. That's basically the head unit. Then you get two harnesses here depending on what car you have. Your plugs are only going to match the one that's going to fit. If you do use the other one, you've got to unplug our CAN bus box here and plug it into the other harness. Just remember that. Now we have our 4G SIM card one, so you can pop that open, put a SIM card in there. That's going to give you a head unit internet the whole time. Our 2 2 USBs, so that gives 2 USBs access to this unit. External mic port, which we do not suggest to use at the moment. The internal one's the best. That's that. This will allow you to keep the factory USB port, and that will plug into one of our ones here, and that will plug into the car side. This is just a different option. Your car might have one or the other USB retention. This is a dual FM antenna plug. Again, we just included some models that need it. If you do need to use like this, you just have to pretty much chop off the old one and put this one on. I'll explain that a bit later on. Our GPS, so it gives our unit its own GPS. Our reverse camera in and front camera. Brown auxiliaries, you won't be using these. Pre-outs, again, unless you're running an amplifier, you won't need them. This car has a factory one, so not needed. Our Bluetooth or Wi-Fi wire, this will be needed. Dual USB, quick charge, and pass through a rocker panel switch. Third USB. Now we include this handy if we want to run our TPMS or our dash cam or an extra add-on we have. 4G antenna, instruction manual, hydration assistant, trim removal tools. That's basically everything you get in the kit, and covers it all. So you go and grab the harness. It's going to match your model. Now fairly straightforward. Go through and put the plugs that match each other in. They should plug in pretty easy. You shouldn't have to force anything, so don't go forcing anything in. Sorry, just trying to work out where we're up to. See, that one doesn't fit in that one. It fits in that one. That one fits in that one. We have this plug left over, which I'm pretty sure we don't use. Yeah. So what we have left over is not too much. These 4 plugs. Now, our GPS, our DAB, our USB retention, which we do have a plug for that, that'll go in soon, and our this one here we're not using. So that's basically all the plugs we don't have. Then what we do is we just want to do a quick test to make sure everything's all working. So the only other cable we're going to need is our reverse camera in, so grey 6-pin with a couple RCAs on it. Find the purple cam in wire. Now, track one of these back. So there's 2 RCAs in here. If I wiggle up this one, I can see it's hooked to this. But don't plug it into this one, because clearly this one's not hooked to anything. Plug it into the other one, like that. There we go, that's all looking pretty good. Now, all we're going to do, grab the head unit, put our 20-pin plug into here, like that. Our grey 6-pin into here. And you can put the FM, AM into here as well. Like that. So we've got 3 plugs in the back there. I just want to hold the unit, power it on, see if something happens. You've got power, always a good start. Now it's going to slow boot on the first time. Now this is a widescreen version. We have 2 versions for this model. The other one has some other side buttons and knobs, and the screen's smaller. So we leave it up. So it all powered up. I can see that the steering wheel controls work. Sounds good, so that's cool. Steering control's working. I'm using a few different buttons. The button here, just press the call button. That's the mode button and the speak button. So that's cool. I can see they're all working. You've also got your buttons down at the bottom. So we've tested sound, radio reception, and steering wheel controls. A good also test to do when you're on the radio is just chuck it into AM.
To an Australian lawn, if you want to get
just make sure you pick up an AM station. All that tells us is that the antenna amp's working, because without it you'll get a no AM and your FM won't be ideal. Next thing you want to check is what happens when we go into reverse. Hopefully something will happen. There we go. We've got the same thing we had before. We've got our trajectory lines are working. I'll turn off this other middle line later on. So that's the same. You can see the quality isn't the best. Even the cameras on the original screen are a bit crap. It's just got an HD screen here. You put old school cameras onto it. It's a bit like putting a DVD into an HD TV or something. We will look at maybe releasing an update for that. Now the other thing you had on the other factory model was this switch here for the cameras. Now to use it, you got to go into FCam app, point it to the back camera system, and then if you push the buttons, it's going to do the same thing for you. Same thing that it could do before. So that still works. So everything's working how it should, so that's what we're after. Then what we do is we unplug everything. That beeping sound, if you just actually press the door sensor in with your hand, it'll stop that happening once. You'll hear the system go, meh. That is basically it. Now we can just go through and put the other wires we need in. I'll explain how that all works. Then we'll put it all back in, and we'll put the air vents from the factory Facia into that one. So we'll just go through and cover each one we have to put in. Start with our units, so GPS. The factory's car's GPS is here. We have tried to use it before, but it just doesn't work as good, so that's why we've installed our one. Not sure why. It could just be older tech. Toyota does like to run a little bit behind. That's also why their stuff's so good and reliable. So obviously GPS, peel off your stick pad. Now just want to have a clear view of the sky without any steel above it. So normally when you tuck your hands down here, you can find a little spot to put it. So let's peel that back a bit and find myself a nice little spot to put this up under the dash. Just check the other side. So I've just actually put it on top of the aircon vent here. Now this actual plastic bit actually just clips and does pop off, so I've just put it up under there, and I'll run the cable back under here. So obviously make sure you run the cable back behind these things. That's about that. 4G antenna. Now your phone still gets reception if it's in the center console of your car. 4G is pretty good, whatever cell coverage. So this here you can just again stick up under somewhere, or even just mount it in. You don't even have to stick it. You can just stick it in like that. It's only got plastic above it, it's still going to get reception. So third USB port. Now we're not doing anything here. Run them into the glove box on these. These glove boxes are probably fully sealed, a lot of these cars, but what we basically do is I run it down and just pop it out so you can't see it, but it's just behind the kick panel. That way if you ever do need to use it, you can. or if you don't want to use it, you don't even know it's there. So that's sort of what we do with those. All this stuff is just plastic and just pulls off. So if you do need to pull off something so you can sort of see what you're doing, you can pull that off and help yourself get that cable down there. Now our twin ones, same thing can be done. Run one down the side there, and I'll show you where we put that in the end. If you are using one of our dash cams or like TPMS, then you might be doing something different with this. But grab the CarPlay Android Auto one, put it into your retention cable, like so, and then you'll find the plug that matches this, which is that one, and just all that allows you to do is keep the factory USB port working in the center console there. This little Bluetooth one, really important, just plugs straight in, so put that in. And the 4G SIM card one, again, some people use it, some people don't, so that gets tucked down with our two USBs. Then I'll run those two USBs now and I'll show you from the other side. There's 3 bits of plastic I pulled off here. This one pulls off the front, this little bit pulls off, and this little bit pulls back. Just pull it back a bit, and then like this one, pull it down, because this little bit will hit against there. You can see I've just tucked all these out here. Now the reason for that is what we'll probably do is just tuck them out under here, so you can still grab them, or you can run them back to here so they're out of the way. Up to you, but still accessible without having to get any tools, but you don't have to see them. Now we include this quick charge port in our kits. Up to you if you use it or like not. On this model, because there's like a factory USB retention, we've kept that, so that's what the audio plug on our USB here would do. We could run our like second or third one to here. It's up to you. Like, because we've got a few add-ons now, it's almost like better to leave those down there, because you're probably not going to need any more USBs. And the top one's a quick charge, so that doesn't. So like the bottom one would plug into one of our head unit USBs and pass through it to here, so that gives it a tidy finish. Top one needs to have ACC power and ground, which will take off our harness. Again, if you're just using the SIG charger or something that's a quick charge, you could just use that. It's up to people if they want to put this in or not, but we'll show you how it's done. So now grab your trim tool, pop it into one of these. Sometimes one's hard to get out and I just end up taking out the whole lot, but we'll see here. These ones are tight, so I just use 2 trim tools, one in the top, one in the bottom. You're going to lever out that. Now what you basically want to do is thread your wires back through, so tuck them back through here. Now you shouldn't even, if you just put a little bit of a bend on them, pretty sure we can easily grab them when they pop through this other side here. If it's all been a bit challenging, you can always tape it to like a screwdriver or the trim tool and just try and pass it through. But there is enough. By the time you do that, you can actually just get your hand in here and grab them with a little bit of patience and a beer. And once you got those through, pretty straightforward, it pushes in, hence why you get a tidy finish like that. Then on the other end here, we've got our 2 wires that we just need a power source for. So in that little kit, we include some Scotch little plugs, like super low draw on these. So what you do is you just plug it in here, like so, and then here's a pair of pliers to crimp them, and then you tap it into one of our red wires here on this main plug. We just put that one through like that and clip it down. That is basically what you got to do. And then the black one, same thing, nip the end off it because it's an exposed end, put it into here, and then clamp it onto this wire called ground here. And make sure she all lines up about right. There you go, happy days. This one doesn't have an LED on it, so I do like to put a cable on there just to test that these have made a good connection and you are getting charge coming through on it. That is basically everything we are going to so I put in. So all I do now is I go back through, like, you don't have to get too serious, but I use a bit of tape. You can tape things up a bit. I'll show what I do, and then we can swap over the AC vents and put the head unit back. There's a couple of things we need off the old Facia. We need the aircon vents and these clips. The clips, you can just put a trim tool in both sides and pop it off. Just put your hand over it because they can flick up. Trim tool, screwdriver will just pop in there and flick it up like that, and that's how they can come off. And then obviously swap it onto our Facia, push it down, it'll clip in. That's pretty straightforward, so go around and do all of those. Now the one that's a little bit harder, see me capture this on camera, is aircon vents. Now they've got tabs on them, so here's a tab here, you just put a trim tool to pop it, and there's a tab in the top as well. Now they've got tabs like this all the way along. Now there's one here in the middle, there's another one on top down here. Now that trim tool is not ideal. Flathead screwdrivers are going to be better to get this one. Now the trick here is to pop these out and put pressure with your hand on the front of it. So you as you like pop them out, you kind of push it back so they stay popped off. And then the whole bit will come out like that. Now, it's kind of hard to explain there, but you can see the clips fit into here. So there's a clip here, 1, 2, 3 on the top. So as you like sort of pop these clips, you put sort of pressure on here and you'll feel this like push back and the clip will stay unclipped. And then on the bottom side, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. So you just go on with like a flat head and like pop them and push them out. Then this here will just slot straight back into our frame. Just slide that in and I push it in. Now I've just pushed it in now, so make sure all those clips go down, so you can give it a good push and you'll see all the clips will actually clip back in. And sorry, I did say before about these clips here, obviously like these don't need to come off the other frame because these are hooked to like that part. So we've only got the 1, 2, 3 actually for take off the factory one here. So again, make sure you do push this all the way in so the clips line up, and you can see that's them all in there now. There we go, everything swapped over. So we just had our 3 clips, 3, so you can see them, 1, 2, 3, and our aircon vents. So we can actually go and put this unit in now. Now it's up to you how serious you get on the taping. It's not end of the world because these are kind of going to go in and drop down. So just picture they kind of go to the back and they sort of like tuck behind. So that means you don't want to actually tape it up too much because you could restrict that ability to drop down. So if you start from like one side and like work your way back, you will probably not forget anything, but you might forget, things happens. So we just come through here, hook these up into here. Sorry, I didn't actually cover these two. We actually have our auxiliary in here. If you follow these wires back on this model, it looks like they are connected. So you could actually, I will explain these here, like that's just going to allow you to have that like earphone jack still working down here for your auxiliary in, which no one ever uses anymore because you don't need it. But you just plug these into our auxiliary brown cable and that plugs into here and it gives you auxiliary in, which I don't even know what you'd have a purpose for that for, but someone might want that to work, so it can work. Now we just go through and do them all. So we've got our SIM card down there, 2 USBs. Now I call these our auxiliary ports. The plugs will only fit in where they fit in, but a bigger plug will fit in a smaller one, so just make sure you're kind of keeping an eye where they're going. And then the only one we're missing is our GPS, I think, and then our FMA and antenna. So when you're plugging all these in, just double check what you're doing. Our GPS is blue and it's kind of a turquoise on there, but that's where it plugs into. 3rd USB port into there. So what we do is just have a double check in there once you've done everything that you have, plug everything up. Got your aircon vent one, leave that hanging down, that'll all drop down, but not too worried about that for now, because what I just want to do again is power it up and I'll make sure everything's still working. Just make sure you haven't forgot anything. It's slow booting here, but that's only because it's been unplugged and plugged back in. Once it has that power on it, it'll quick boot. So you can just quickly check, like steering wheel controls, check your somewhat radio. I actually don't think I didn't plug the radio antenna in, so that's where you do these checks. And then reverse. Cool. So that is basically everything that we wanted to check. So now when you go to put it back in, you just tuck all the cables, like I said, down and back down, and then you push it in. So once you've got them in there, you can push them down behind that basket, sort of how I explained. And basically what you're going to do is gently give it a few pushes. Always get your head under here. If it's not going in, guarantee it'll be hitting on something, and that's your issue. You don't want to force things in because it's all plastic. So basically there we go, it's clipped in, that's looking absolutely awesome. We will grab our AC, put our AC in, slip that into here, give it a good push in. That's the unit installed, looking fantastic. So that's an epic system. The bigger screen just absolutely fits in there well. Obviously check all your things work again and then you'll be good to go. Good stuff on installing that. These Prados are like, this is about as easy as an install gets. Like you're talking about, you got to pull off this and 4 10mm bolts, so pretty straightforward. It'll be 2.5 beers, but yeah, as far as install goes, this will be one of the easier installs. So as I said before, we've got our view down here. I normally actually just tuck the 4G SIM one down behind the carpet. Not sure if this customer's going to use it or not, so I will leave that up to them. And the other two, I just get up under there and you can sort of pull them back, so they look pretty sort of stout under there. You could even completely hide them, up to you, just depends. Just want to be able to access them if you need them, and then all these bits just fit back in to where they were. so. And your trim panel here. Again, just I got a good feel for this now, but like, just like obviously make sure you have them like lined up, because you can try and like sort of force it in, you just end up bending the plastic. Now there's just a couple of settings in here that we'll probably want to change. You'll see here, sorry, if I close this driver's door and open it again, you'll see it's on the wrong side. Might have just been on this sort of like model, we should have that fixed. But go into where I've gone into about device, click on like the settings, 8878, can type, and we can just swap the front door. So we've swapped those around. Then the only other thing is, no, that's about it. You can obviously pull the protection thing off, push save, like reboot the system, or like reboot, and then when we open the door it'll be on that right side. So that's like basically it's all installed. You're gonna have a wireless CarPlay and like Android Auto going on here. That's pretty cool. Steering wheel control is gonna work. You've got your reverse camera, it's all working. The only thing you're not gonna have control over is we have a DSP chip in here, which is not going to do anything, because this system is running the JBL amplifier, which has its own DSP in it. So you lose your control of that. So you probably want to set it up how you want to set up before you take it the factory one and then put it like this one. The sound quality in these cars is great, especially these TIMECODEs. They've got an awesome sound system. I think they're like 15 speakers or something, so it does sound good anyway. But that's just the only thing you won't have. Obviously that's our home screen. So we got like radio, CarPlay, Android Auto. You can install whatever apps you want on here. If you use it like SIM card, the actual device will have the internet. You can go to Play Store and install whatever app you want, but that is basically it. Sorry, and just the only other setting you might want to change is obviously when you go into reverse here, you just want to use the factory lines here. Our one was overlaid before. If you go into settings, car infotainment, video, and just turn a reversing assistant line off, you will get rid of that. You can also turn air conditioner off if you want as well. Otherwise, when this is on auto, it'll pop up all the time as it changes temp. And see now it doesn't come up. Up to you if you have it on or off, but those are just a couple that you can change.